Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about this big announcement from Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. Something huge that was just announced minutes ago. It's a little controversial. So some say it's good, some say it's not so good, it's too risky. I'm going to break it down for you guys. That's number one. Number two, I'm also going to talk about the best performing asset since Trump's election, or election win, I should say. And it may surprise you which asset that is. So I'm going to talk about that as well. But before I get to those, let me go through my usual stuff. Bitcoin is starting out the day a little bit lower than yesterday, 82.3, 82.4. This was kind of expected. I told you guys yesterday and the day before that, day prior to a FOMC meeting, we usually get volatility. So the FOMC meeting is tomorrow, okay? And today, the markets are opening up in the red. It always happens. Wall Street, they just don't know what to expect during an FOMC meeting. So generally speaking, if they don't know what to expect, they just sell off, okay? Even though it's pretty expected that tomorrow there will be no rate cut and no rate hike, obviously, but they're just afraid of what he's going to say, honestly. That's the reason why, okay? So obviously, everyone's still looking for him to reassure markets that everything's going to be okay, right? He does have the power. People basically say Fed Chair Powell is the second most powerful man in the world because he has, whatever he says and does, has the power to move markets like no other. So whatever he says is going to be very, very important tomorrow. So today, prepare for rockiness. We may see a lot of volatility today, right? And there's still a lot of talks about recession. Obviously people are still kind of worried about where we are heading short term. Long term, not so much. Short term, I think people are just afraid of all the tariffs and everything that's going on, that it may cause a lot of turbulence and may lead to recession. Okay, so that's kind of the thing. Now, this also was reported today that President Xi may be coming to Washington. First time since 2018. Or first time, the two presidents, I should say, Trump and President Xi, hasn't met since 2018. And President Xi may be coming. Last time, remember, he came and visited San Francisco, and San Francisco was cleaned up because of his visit. I remember that was very controversial. So he's coming again to talk about all the tariffs and trade tensions and hopefully avoid a trade war, okay? Or a tariff war, I should say. So that's encouraging, but that's not supposed to happen until June. So there's still 3 months left until that happens. Maybe it'll happen sooner than later. Okay, so there's that. All right, now as for other things that are going on, let's get to the big announcement. Okay, Michael Saylor just put this out. MicroStrategy, today announced the launch of Strife, a new perpetual preferred stock offering available to institutional investors and select non-institutional investors. For more information, keep in mind MicroStrategy just came out with Strike, which is a preferred stock not too long ago, maybe a month ago. I don't even think it's been 2 months, just a month ago. And now Saylor's coming out with another preferred stock, but this one's a perpetual preferred stock called Strife. And it's very confusing. So, you know what? I had Grok do a little homework and a little comparison for me. The difference between the two. Strife is, okay, first of all, in terms of shares, there's going to be 5 million shares for Strife versus the 7.3 million shares, okay, for Strike. So a little bit less. Now, here's the big difference. Strife is supposed to give a fixed 10% dividend. That's more than Strike's. Strike is giving an 8% dividend. So that's 2% more, already making it more attractive. But here's the thing. There could be a possibility that Strife does not pay the dividend every quarter. I don't know what kind of metric or what kind of goals that they have to meet to pay, but if it doesn't pay in that quarter that it's supposed to pay, then the dividend goes up by 1%. And it'll keep going up until it hits 18%. So theoretically, there could be, 2 years, 8 quarters of no payment, and then that quarterly becomes 18%. And the dividend is only paid in cash. That's the difference. Strike, on the other hand, is a fixed 8%, paid every quarter, and the dividend is paid in cash or stock or both. Okay? And Strike, you could also use it to convert to MicroStrategy shares. So there's a conversion for Strike, where Strife, there's no conversion. So, it's starting to get really confusing. Now, as an investor, do you go with Strife because you could possibly get more dividend, but you get less, there's a chance that there's no dividend. You may have to wait quarters before you get it, and you don't get the upside of MicroStrategy stock if it goes up because you can't convert it. So there's a risk there, right? And, all this, it's starting to add confusion. And if you're a MicroStrategy shareholder, this takes away from the appeal of holding MicroStrategy stock itself. When Strike came out, I said this too, it's going to kind of cause a divide between shareholders, right? Because now people are going to say, well, should I buy Strike or MicroStrategy? And people were arguing with me saying, well, you don't understand. This is a different stock and, there's different purposes. I get it. Theoretically, they all serve different purposes. But in reality, as a retail investor, now you have 2 options. But after this, you have 3 options. Even though this is stated, this is mostly for institutional investors. But I have a feeling retail investors will be able to buy this too, because even he said it, some non-institutional investors, right? So it'll be interesting. Obviously, the purpose of this is to raise more money to buy more Bitcoin, which Bitcoin holders love. Bitcoin holders love Saylor buying more Bitcoin. Who doesn't love that? To get more Bitcoin out of circulation. But this raises the question, and if you look at Saylor's tweet and you look at the responses, a lot of people are starting to get worried and question whether or not he's getting too greedy, whether this is the right strategy, right? Maybe Saylor is a genius and he sees this is the right move and he is making all the right moves right now to acquire as many Bitcoin as he can, and this is his way of doing so, right? But a lot of people are starting to disagree with his moves, so we'll see. But this is something big that came out. All right, outside of this, what else is there? I wanted to talk about the best performing assets since Trump's election win. And can you guess which asset it is? It could come as a surprise, but I say for most of you guys, it's not a surprise. It's Bitcoin. Even with the current fall from top, Bitcoin is still up about 20%, 19%. That's up more than triple of gold. Gold's up about 7%. And then you got some equities, and then you have some bonds, you have some treasuries, and everything else is a negative. Real estate is negative. Mid caps. You got technology, healthcare, energy, utilities. Small caps, they're all in the negatives. So, again, if you're measuring assets, I know if you're just measuring purely price from peak to now, right? Obviously, Bitcoin is down from peak. But if you're just measuring asset classes, nothing outperforms Bitcoin. Nothing. And if you're measuring even prices over a long time frame, the point I've been making for a long time, nothing outperforms Bitcoin. So it is still the asset to hold. It is the asset to hold for a long time and acquire as much of before there's not enough to go around. I guess this is the reason why Saylor is doing what he's doing, right? And many others are doing that too. MetaPlanet just acquires another 150 Bitcoin, and they are now one of the top Bitcoin holders of the world. They implemented the same strategy as Saylor. And 80 public traded companies now hold Bitcoin, and that list grows, it seems like, every single week. There's more and more companies that are starting to embrace the Bitcoin strategy because they know long term, nothing outperforms Bitcoin, right? And even with the decline since January to now, because of all the macro conditions, fundamentally Bitcoin is strong as ever, and long-term holders, the ones that truly understand and believe, and whales, are still loading up. This is long-term holders' net position. Look at what's been happening since January. Long-term holders are definitely picking up. Short-term holders, lettuce hands, and a lot of Wall Street are selling. But long-term holders are stacking sats. And that's the way to do it. That's how you win in the end, right? All right, that is pretty much it. The only other thing I want to cover is really nothing to do with Bitcoin or anything. This is very controversial with Chronos. Some people have asked me about Chronos chain and Crypto.com. You know, I see the two things as separate, but this is very, very controversial. Chronos chain itself somehow just approved 70 billion CRO tokens valued about $5.6 billion. It was originally burned, but now they had a vote to unburn them and put it into their treasury. So all of a sudden, the market cap is going to jump by $5.6 billion. And the controversial thing about this is the validators that are not controlled by Crypto.com or have no ties to Crypto.com all voted no. And all of a sudden, all the validators that are tied to Crypto.com voted yes. And they were the validators that pushed the votes into the yes territory. So there's a lot of controversy about this and whether or not that chain or the validators at all are decentralized or they are centralized and really controlled by Crypto.com. So there's a lot of controversy over this. And why would you want to reissue $5.6 billion worth of tokens that were already burned and you're bringing them back? Yeah, it's not a good look. Not a good look. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. The biggest story is, of course, Strategy's new stock called Strife. Today, Bitcoin is going a little bit lower because of the U.S. market. We'll see how today goes, right? Stay strong, my friends. Like I've been saying, there is no asset that's better performing than Bitcoin. Long-term holders, we know that this is definitely worth holding on to, and we will acquire more, and we will continue to hold on DCA. It's the right strategy. So stay strong, my friends. I will see you guys later. Make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye-bye.